Hey, what is going on, guys? Just wanted to do a quick review here on the new Modern Warfare 2 beta. So right now we are currently on beta week number 2, or should I say weekend number 2. And I'm just gonna go over some of the things that occurred during weekend 1. So I'm just gonna kind of go through a list here and just talk about some of the things that I kind of agree with and that I kind of don't agree with. Let's go ahead and get started here. So let's talk about the minimap. So the minimap, the classic Call of Duty minimap is where if you look on the screen there on the upper left hand corner, you see a little minimap there. The blue arrows represent your teammates, and the yellow arrow represents you. And so in classic Call of Duties, normally anytime somebody fires an unsuppressed weapon, they will show up as a red dot on the minimap, basically giving the enemy position to your location, and vice versa. So if you fire an unsuppressed weapon, meaning you don't have a suppressor or silencer attached to it, you will show up on the radar. For some odd reason, Infinity Ward actually did away with that. So now the only way you show up on the minimap is if you or a teammate calls in a UAV, which you can see here me calling it in right now, and then you get the radar sweep, and then you start seeing all the little red dots. So I don't see why they went that route when you could just simply attach a suppressor if you don't want to appear on the minimap when you fire your weapon. I'm just going to read off of the Infinity Ward, because we did give some feedback during week 1, and then this is the feedback that we actually got from Infinity Ward for week 2. So it says here, currently in the Modern Warfare 2 beta, we only show enemy player dots when the UAV is active. The design reason for this is that we do not, get this, we do not want to punish players for firing their weapons. We also want players to actively search out the origin of a gunshot versus just traveling directly to where the dot is on the minimap. We continue to gather feedback on how the game is playing in regards to this topic. I don't think they're going to change anything about that. I kind of really hope they do go back to the classic minimap, but I just think that it's something that they shouldn't have messed with. I like to use the KISS method, keep it simple, stupids. But anyway, let's see, moving on to the next one here. So target tracking. So according to Infinity Ward, there has been some feedback that it is hard to track targets once you get into a firefight due to the really large muzzle flash and the muzzle smoke that comes out of the barrel. Basically to the changes that they're going to make should help with tracking your opponents in combat. Because honestly, I really didn't encounter that during weekend 1. I didn't have any issues with the muzzle flash. Normally, I would actually just run suppressors on my weapons, and problem solved. And as you can see right here, I'm using the AK-74. I'm pretty sure they probably patched it up, but I never really noticed it in the weekend 1 either when I was using this current weapon that I'm using now. So let's see. What else we got here? The perks. So let's talk about the perks. So the classic Call of Duty perks is where you actually get to choose 3 perks. So the perks are basically like abilities that help you in combat. Like, for example, Flak Jacket, which basically reduces explosive damage by a certain amount. You have Ghost, which protects you from a UAV. Whenever an enemy calls in a UAV, you're not going to show up on the radar as a red dot. So it kind of keeps you hidden. So those are basically perks. And the way they did it here is you have basically 4 perks. You have your 2 base perks, and then you have like your mid-tier perk. And then you have your last and ultimate perk. Apparently it's supposed to be the strongest of all perks, which I don't think that is currently the case. So basically the first 2 perks, you start off with them, and they follow you through all the entire match. And then the mid-tier perk, you kind of earn it. And in weekend 1, you actually earned it about mid-game, mid-match. And then the ultimate perk, you actually earned it like practically towards the end of the game, which was kind of dumb. But now they in weekend 2 they actually increased the earn rate, just to kind of see how players react to it. And I mean, I'm kind of on the fence on it. I mean, I respect the innovation that Infinity Ward does when it comes to like innovation towards the game, but I just think that again, the KISS method, they should have just left it alone and not have messed with it. Now, if this were to stay, if this new perk system were to stay, I think they should increase the earn rate just a little bit further, and I think it would be like kind of okay, anyway. But if I had to choose between the two, I would just stick with the classic Call of Duty perks, the way they've always been. And speaking of perks, a lot of players since the first Call of Duty Modern Warfare in 2019, everybody was complaining that why Dead Silence was not a perk. So Dead Silence basically makes you your movements very, very quiet. So they kind of, like in this game, the biggest issue on this beta on weekend 1 was the fact that players had cinder blocks practically tied to their boots, and you could hear everybody running. So when you start hearing footsteps, the players kind of slow down or they stop completely. And me personally, I'm usually the one that always challenges a player's position. But you kind of somewhat end up like at a stalemate, and it kind of like punishes you in a way, especially if you're a rusher, like me for one. I am a rusher. I do tend to like, run around and just try to get as many kills and score as many points for my team as possible. And the footsteps practically prevent you from doing that. So they kind of did tweak it a little bit. So I'm going to read off of here. So Dead Silence is another hot topic, as many players have expressed that they would like to see it as a perk instead of a field upgrade. So the field upgrade, it basically charges over time, and you can add to that earn rate or earn time by getting kills. So we believe it is important to game health that rushers are not able to move at high speeds without consequence, which I think is absolute bullcrap. Dead Silence as a field upgrade creates a balance between freedom of movement and predictability of combat. So again, like, they should really just make it a perk. I don't see why they have to, they practically they do this to cater to these so-called casual players. I mean, I'm a casual player, but I'm not actually that casual. I've had years of experience with Call of Duty. I'm not a freaking noob. I know what I'm doing. I can hold my own. I'm not the best player, but I'm also not the worst player. And this kind of, the way that they do like things is just basically cater and babysit and protect the freaking so-called casual players, which I think is pretty stupid. But I mean, again, so moving on. So the footsteps, we kind of just talked about the footsteps. So the footstep audio in week 1 of the multiplayer beta was very high. This was by Infinity Ward. Giving players long-distance directional information about enemies. For weekend 2, which is the gameplay that you see now, they did do some changes, and it says here, we are reducing the range of footstep audio for various player movement states, for example, jog, sprint, and tactical sprint. This will help soften the cost of moving around the map. The second change is that the enemy and friendly footsteps are now distinct. So this should help players better understand what's going on as things move around on the battlefield, and more details to follow. So again, yeah, the whole footstep thing. I honestly feel that this game is not letting me play the way that I want to play, and I feel that this game is actually playing me instead. So I have to now change and adapt to their game, instead of being, instead of playing the game the way that I want to play it. So, basically, you're just running around. I can run laps around these guys all day if I wanted to, but the fact that Infinity Ward and these so-called innovations practically stick their foot out, I end up tripping and I end up getting hosed down in the back or what have you. That's basically how I see it. So, I mean, this game has so much potential, like a lot of potential. And I think it could be a really good game. You know, Modern Warfare 2019 was trash. Vanguard was practically trash ever since especially when they added that laser gun. I was like, you know what? Like, I'm done. Like, I'm done with that stupid ass game. But I honestly think that this game has potential. Me being a fan and everything of the franchise, this game most certainly does have a lot of potential. And but again, you know, we're giving the feedback to these developers, and it's just like, well, best I can do is nah. We're just gonna wait and see, and just kind of see how it plays out. And it's just like, really, like, you know, it honestly, like, they practically baby these people. You know, in Modern Warfare 2019, Joe Secot said that he wanted to give players a safe space. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, you know, you give them closed doors, you give them windows, you give them like all this shit. Like, come on, man. Like, that's, you know, like, that's not the way how, you know, I grew up, I guess you could say, or had my experiences with, you know, like with Modern Warfare 2, World at War. You know, I was that player that was at the bottom of the leaderboard. I was at the bottom of the barrel. You know, I got freaking shit for it. You know, like, hey, like, you suck. You know, it's like, yeah, I know I suck, but eventually, it's things like that make you a better player. Eventually, you know, the more you keep playing, you know, you kind of learn some things here and there, and then you just kind of pick it up, and you know. But no, like, they want to freaking babysit and freaking like give these so-called casual players like a freaking safe space, and it punishes the pro players and the veterans of this game. So yeah, I totally disagree with the way the direction that Infinity Ward has gone. So I just also just want to point out some of the one thing that really impressed me about this game, and I will say this. So I was in a gunfight, and I had completely run out of ammo, and I noticed that when I was reloading, I fully seated my magazine, but then I did a quick action like a sprint, and I was sprinting, and when I stopped, as I was sprinting, I noticed that the ammo counter was still at 0. So when I kind of just stopped at a certain location, I noticed that the player, the animation actually hit the bolt catch release on the M4. It was actually an M4. He hit the bolt catch release, and then it actually chambered around, and I now have a full 30-round magazine. And I was like, what? Like, that just completely caught me off guard. I was like, you know what? That is actually very impressive. So that was one impressive thing that I can honestly say from Infinity Ward. You know, that just basically made me say, like, wow. Like, it just kind of I just lit up, and I was like, that is so freaking awesome. But yeah, I honestly think, aside from that, this game has so much potential. So honestly, I'm actually looking forward to hardcore mode. I've kind of gotten already used to the gameplay here and how to, you know, I kind of adapted already on how to play and how to move around and stuff like that. But I still think that it shouldn't be that way. It should be able to play how you want to play without being punished or penalized, you know, or consequences, as they put it. But yeah, I mean, so guys, looks like we are almost out of time here, so I'm just gonna let you guys enjoy the rest of the gameplay here. Just wanted to give my 2 cents on this and kind of just read up on what Infinity Ward is actually saying about our feedback that we're giving. But again, I think this game has a lot of potential, and I guess we're just gonna wait and see what happens. And so yeah, I think that is pretty much it. I think I've pretty much covered just about everything here. So I think the match is almost... Oh, yeah, there you go. Match is just finished. So looks like we got 75, score 75 out of 41. We did pretty good. And well, that is pretty much it for this review here. So again, gonna be I'll probably make another video, but we'll see what happens. Well, thanks for watching, guys. Y'all stay safe, take care, peace out.